said, you come to be with the rainbow serpent, red hands, red land, red worship, red hands, red land, red worship, just in our bush.
Coming over. But yeah, if you are though.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Now let's get a little more unified here. We can do this. Good morning, everyone. There we go. Tomorrow is a very important day to my heart, having grown up in this country, having loved all the people that I grew up with. Being an American is something important to me, so I would like to start off the service with everybody standing. And you can join me if you wish, but we're going to sing the national anthem. And I'm a little nervous, so it's been a while. Oh, say, can you see? Thank you. And thank you. You all did awesome, too. All right, we'll get back to our regularly scheduled service now. God is omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent, so God's love covers everyone. I am knowing and trusting right here and right now that in this place, each and every person, each and every aspect that is a bit of God is here to listen, to hear, to take this message of today's service and move it out into the world. I am knowing and trusting that each bit of this service is blessed with that absolute, with that wondrous peace of God, that each word that is said will carry God's message forth. I am knowing and trusting that our new Reverend, we are so blessed to have here today, is the perfect vessel for God's message in the sermon, and that each and every note of music will lift the hearts and expand the minds of each and every person. I'm knowing all this is true, and I'm releasing it into the perfect action and order of the law, knowing it to be true and complete. And let us anchor and affirm this by saying together, and so it is.
That part called, but you need to remember to do that. Oh, yes. See, we're always on, even if the energy doesn't seem like it's coming through, right? We're always on. So I want to, first of all, just say welcome. Welcome, CSLB. Welcome everyone who's here in physical form. Welcome everyone in our virtual Love Shack, I'm going to call it, our virtual Love Shack, for being with us and embracing this time together. And whether you're here for the first time or you've been coming here for years and years and got more stories to tell than anyone wants to know, welcome for this new voyage we're about to take together, because it does take a village in order for anything to happen. And in these next steps that we take as a community, we're calling on the village to move things forward in whatever that wants to look like. So I just want to say welcome to being part of the village, being part of my support village, and may I be part of your support village as well. I'm currently wearing a mask, and I'm doing that because a few weeks ago I got over COVID, and I was vaccinated and boosted and everything else, but I'm also mindful that other people are ill. Other people are walking around with sniffles and whatever, and I'm just trying to be respectful. I also want you to know I'm a hugger, and I'm trying to monitor the hugging, also in respect that we not all make each other sick. So as time moves on, I will hug you more and more and more, and sometimes you'll be like, get off me, okay? And feel free at some point in time to be hugging on me the same way. But for right now, I'm just being a little bit more respectful and mindful. So thank you if I don't grab onto you and hug on you, okay?
I don't know if everybody noticed, but the schedule for Sunday is slightly altered. This is the words of the wise. Eckhart Tolle said, "You are not separate from the whole. You are one with the sun, the earth, the air. You don't have a life, you are life." And Ernest Holmes, the philosophy of Ernest Holmes, page 85.2, said, we say we are one with God and one in God. This is a mistake. We are one of whatever the nature of God is. Whatever it is one. As humans, we are relational beings. Our primary relationship is with Spirit or God. The nature of this relationship is immutable, but our understanding of it depends on our belief. We cannot change this most primal of all relationships, but we can embrace it, ignore it, or deny it. The notion of being one with Spirit is daunting, especially when we have been led to believe we are less than we truly are. Much of our life is a journey towards discovering and expanding this relationship. It is only when we are comfortable with it and live with it that we can have peace in our lives. This peace comes from the realization of the power we are and have access to. When we realize our power, fear is diminished and we can live in peace. Every other relationship is built on the nature of our relationship with Spirit. The first step of spiritual mind treatment affirms this connection and our acceptance of Spirit as the basis for every aspect of our lives. We affirm the infinite nature of Spirit, its oneness, its power, its peace, its presence. In doing this, we affirm ourselves as one with it. This was taken from the July Science of Mind, page 34.
miracle, make a miracle. We can make a 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 miracle, make a miracle. Thank you.
So this month, the theme is living everyday wonder, but we're talking about relationships. And I'm talking about my favorite subject. Me, myself, and I. Right? He just got saying, if you believe in yourself. Well, it starts with the relationship that we have with ourselves. And many of us in this room were raised to believe that if you thought about yourself or put yourself first, you were selfish, you were conceited. Yes? And so we didn't understand the concept of you love yourself first. And if you think about it, the reading that was read for today, if you start out loving yourself and understanding the powerful relationship you have with yourself, it is easier to then understand your relationship as a God being. Because if you don't have that connection with yourself, how could you possibly see yourself as one of God's beloved sons or daughters? Because it would be too big a container. Because that part of you that feels like, I'm not really all of that, or I'm not worthy, how could I possibly be one of God's beloveds? So that's why I say it's one of my favorite subjects, because we talk about self-care, we talk about self-love, but how many of us actually have that kind of relationship with ourselves? Sometimes we do. You know, sometimes we give ourselves a pat on the back for things that we've done a good job with. But how many times do we spend focused on criticizing ourselves? Oh my God, you did that again. Oh, you messed up again. We have that mind chatter that keeps saying things that are derogatory about ourselves. But would you allow someone to speak to your best friend that way? So I'm wanting us to go inward to think about what it would be like to have ourself as our best friend. What would that be like? I know for some of you it's like, yeah, I already got that. And for others, just hearing that languaging is just like, ew. How could I have me as my best friend?
I love it.
And the truth of the matter is, many of us are out there looking for relationships, friendships, other relationships. I'm lonely. Because we do not have that interaction with ourselves. And so when I'm with myself and I'm feeling that about myself, I may miss the presence of other people's company, but I'm not lonely. Now, many years ago, I walked into a Center for Spiritual Living in San Jose, and it was first time having prayer practitioners pray with me. And I was really wanting a relationship at the time. And I sat down with one of the ministerial interns, and I said, I want to pray for my right and perfect relationship. I thought that was a reasonable request. Doesn't everyone that is not coupled want to pray for that right and perfect relationship? And he looked at me and he said, okay, but what if you're that right and perfect relationship? And I didn't get it. I was thinking, this man's just telling me I can't find someone. And I looked at him and said, so I can't pray for my right and perfect relationship? And he said, well, you can, but what about if you had that relationship with yourself? If you had all of the qualities you are seeking out there in another person, if you had that and felt that about yourself, what would that be like for you? And think about what it would take for you to have that with yourself, because then you would be a magnet that would attract that in someone else for yourself. And then I heard it. Then it was like, oh, so that means I got a lot of work to do. Yippee! I have a lot of work to do to be that magnet. But then it stopped me from thinking I had to keep looking out there for my person. And that I got to start looking in here and finding another way to dialogue with myself. Finding ways when I get upset to even pat myself and say, it's okay, sweetheart, we got this. You know, and the first few times you do things like that, it feels a little silly to call yourself like a nice name or pat yourself gently as if you would like that to be from another person. So I've just moved, and I moved here from Santa Fe, New Mexico. Grateful because I'm a native Cali girl, so I'm grateful to be back home. And I'm driving and I'm doing whatever I need to do to get here, and I'm trusting. And in my mind, I have a new mantra. It's not really new, but it's new to me to keep saying. And it's either God's got a plan or God's got this. And I visualize it as a tattoo on my arm that I look at. And I just keep saying when things feel a little bit like I need to take a real big deep breath, and I just say, God's got this, or God's got a plan, don't need to know what it is at the moment, just need to know that. And so yesterday, I was blessed with the opportunity to be a proud owner of appliances. As a grown woman, I've never had appliances that I've purchased myself. So I had a washer and dryer delivered and a refrigerator. And I was like, wow, I'm a grown-up now, you know, because that was a really big thing. And I was trusting completely that the folks that made this happen, of course, via my prayer, that I manifest these things, that things would fit. And I don't think anyone really gave any thought to, will it fit in that space? Because most of us probably, I know I did, assume it's standard size and it fits. Well, when I watched the washer and dryer going in, this little part of me, you know, the chatter, the monkey mind, the mind chatter, the stuff that runs round and round, started saying, uh-oh. Uh-oh. And then I started having a controlling behavior that said, well, they ought to bring that they better put their refrigerator there first. They won't be able to get it in. And I had this whole thing happening. And I started to get nervous. And I got so almost overwhelmed that I wanted to cry. But because I have that special, loving relationship with myself, when I caught myself almost spinning a little bit out of control about what's going to happen if it doesn't fit, I took myself in the other room. I said, I can't, first of all, they don't need me over here standing over them stressing. Took myself in the other room and I started to pray. God's got this. I don't need to know how it looks. Doesn't have to make any sense to me. I just need to let go of all my chatter. But because I have a relationship with myself that is loving, that is kind, and I have that relationship with divine spirit, I was able to say, doesn't look anything like I thought. And I heard in the background the muttering, and I think that they were even saying, uh-oh, this may not fit. What are we going to do? How are we going to tell this lady? And at one point, they were going to bring the refrigerator in through the front door, and I'm like, oh, I just went in the other room and started to pray again, because, I was about to just cry. Because that's what I do when I'm either angry, upset, or feel totally out of control. I start to cry. And I switch that tears right into that prayerful space. God's got a plan. Doesn't look how I think it's supposed to look. It's okay. It's going to work. And they're bringing it into the doorway. And I'm looking at it thinking, it doesn't fit. They should have listened to me when I was telling them under my breath to bring it in first. So you see how easy it is to spin out of control with your own mind chatter? You're starting to, first of all, condemn the situation and condemn the people and then condemn yourself. It's a circle. It's round and round and round. We must have a relationship with ourselves that is respectful so that we don't spin out in situations. I'll cut to the chase. If you had actually watched what they did to get that refrigerator in that spot, you would have had a panic attack and had to leave the building. They were taking refrigerator doors off and whatever, and I was just... And I think I stressed myself so much internally that in order to practice my own personal self-care, I had to stop and remember, ooh, you're in the desert, you got to drink a lot of water. Got to remember to drink your water. Oh, you might need to have a little more food. Oh, geez, maybe you might even, after all this stress, have a little nap. And see, that's the thing. Not all of us have a self-care plan. Like women, we think it means getting our nails or hair done. And guys, maybe it's a hobby you enjoy doing. But self-care is part of your spiritual practice. It is part of your way to embrace this component that we walk around in called our body. It's a way to embrace how we interact with our mind and our thoughts. It is a way that we call upon spirit, source energy, God, to remind us of the amazing bigness we are as spiritual beings. And it also is to remind us that sometimes we have human experiences, but it's also how do we be with the human experiences. So, I was looking at the theme for this month and this week, and I thought I could come here with a really super prepared lesson. But the thought is we're new to one another. So I'm inviting you to get to know yourself and have an interesting, deeper relationship with yourself. But that also means how do we interact in all of our relationships? Because you see, the way we treat ourselves is the way we allow others to treat us. And it is also the way we treat others. So whatever hats you're wearing, it trickles into all those hats. Mother, sister, uncle, professor, on and on and on. If we don't have that positive, caring relationship with ourselves, and we allow others to not care about us and how they treat us, it shows up in every aspect in our world. And if we want to have a different experience of how we allow others to be with us, we've got to learn how to be that so that we can then demonstrate it or mirror it to them. So if you're having times with people that are not working for you, you get a chance to look inside and say, what part of this is me reflecting back to me and how I'm being with me? And so if I want you all to get to know me and have a connection with me, and me to have a connection with you, I want it to be one that's based on kindness, respect, love, and compassion. So that if things are going on, we can stop. And if it's not feeling like how we want it to be, we can stop ourselves and say, what am I actually putting out energetically that's coming back to me in this way that I don't like? Because, it can't all, you walk into a room and you bump into people that are being not nice to you, a little snarky to you. Then you have another person coming across to you being the same way, and then somebody else doing the same thing. And you get to stop and say, wow, what am I putting out that's coming back at me? Because it starts right here. I know years ago I worked in a medical practice, and I had people that were not feeling well, that were having a bad day. And they'd start out by attacking me verbally. Well, because I have been working on myself and the relationship that I have with me, I don't believe that the customer is always right if it means verbal abuse. I think that there's a boundary where we can find a place to connect, you know? And so I figured if this person's greeting me and being not nice to me, I happen to just be that whipping person for that moment because they're not feeling well. So I used to stop myself and say, this is not about you. They're not feeling well. How can you show up as a greater level of kindness that might affect their day in some little tiny way? And so these are all the things that I think about when I think about me, myself, and I asked for that song, Love Covers Me, because it's a great reminder. Love conquers hatred. How am I being, and what am I contributing, and what am I wanting to have? So this week, I'd like you to consider taking care of yourself as part of your spiritual practice. And if you're already doing that, lean into what would be the next level I can amp up in my spiritual practice of nurturing kindness with myself. And I'm gonna call Corliss out here in a loving way. Corliss was very kind to allow me to stay with her for a few days so I could have a soft landing. And I said, you don't have to entertain me. Thank you, I'm grateful. Just go about your business. Well, now, don't most of us, weren't we raised that our nature is to now feel that we are supposed to take care of this person, feed them, do things for them? And I was like, no, you don't need to. I'm good, I appreciate it. And then she was not feeling 100%. And she said, I'm so sorry, I need to take care of myself right now. And I said, I'm grateful you are. But I'd like us to look at it as, what would it be like if we didn't need to actually say, I'm sorry, but I need to take care of myself? Because we're not being selfish. You know, you get on the plane and they tell you the whole process of the flight safety, you know, where the exits are and whatever, and they'll tell you, put your own oxygen mask on first before you tend to a child or someone else. And the reasoning for that is, if we don't love and nurture ourselves, the body temple that we are, the emotional temple that we are, the spiritual godly temple that we are, how can we expect any change to occur? Because we're all mirrors of each other. And I'm thinking normally, you know, there would be talk about the 4th of July and Independence Day. And since that's not what the Home Office thought would be the theme for this month, I'm just thinking Independence Day. Independence Day. I am not lonely if I have a relationship and care for myself. I am not lonely. I need to learn how to have that interaction where I can do things with and for myself because I like to be kind to myself. So again, this week I will invite you just to ask yourself, if I'm already having a loving, kind relationship with me, how could I change it a little? What would it feel like if I changed up the flow a little? I'm going to throw a crazy idea out to you. Take yourself on a date. Now, some of you are saying, I already do that. Good. Others of you were saying, date myself. That's just about as weird as you could be. But when I say date, when you go on a date, and some of you haven't been on one in a while, so think about that. Take yourself on a date or take yourself and a loved one on a date. You put your best foot forward usually. You watch your languaging. You use your table manners. But it's all thought about, you know? What would it be like if you actually took yourself on a date and asked yourself before you went on the date, what would you like to do today on this date? Maybe it's, I want to go to a new place to play golf that I never did before. Maybe it's, I've always wanted to go to this particular place, but I've just never done it because I feel weird going by myself. Or maybe it's a brand new restaurant you've been waiting to go to, but you've also been waiting for someone else to take you there or to go with you. What would it feel like to take you on a date? And if it feels totally weird and crazy, tune into, well, how come it does? And listen to the chatter that's telling you why it feels weird. And then ask yourself, could I do it anyway? And even if it feels kind of weird, just be in the awkwardness for a minute and do it. And see what it's like to put your best foot forward for you. And along the way, if you do something that would be considered a mess up or a mistake, practice the idea of saying, cancel, cancel. If you say something derogatory about yourself or you're starting to say something, oh man, you did it again, stop yourself, cancel, cancel. To make yourself aware of what you are saying to you. You know, we talk about a mental equivalent as to what we put out, we attract more of. But it's like a do-over. We can do do-overs. By saying cancel, cancel, we're basically putting a message out to the universe saying, did not mean that. No, cancel that out completely. And then have another thought and put that other thought in place. Because I'm telling you, it is a ripple effect. When you start to have that sort of connection with yourself, where it becomes more natural, more familiar, more kind and gracious, it will shift in every aspect out in the world with the people you interact with. And it'll seem easier. And when you have a moment where you want to spin out, you'll be like me in the other room in prayer. God's got a plan. God's got this. I'm okay. It's all right. And everything just feels a little less stressful or a little less unkind. I always hear people say, people used to be much kinder. People used to just do things and be more kind. It starts with us being kind with ourselves. And I asked that we all be a village together in how we be about things in this community here. It still starts with ourselves, how we're willing to be with ourselves. So for those of us in physical form right here, and those in the virtual love shack, I invite us all, think about a date you'd like to take yourself on, and also be mindful of how you speak to the most delightful, beloved being, godlike being you could speak to, yourself. Namaste. And let's, thank you. Thank you. Let's take a moment. Just take a moment to go inward. Let's just take a moment to go inward and to breathe and to be mindful that when we breathe, a conscious breath, it is that remembrance that God's breathing us. We don't even think about a breath, we just breathe. But God, source energy, as us, is breathing us. So as we breathe in and we breathe in all the possibilities of kindness and goodness and love covering me, love covering you, and we exhale anything that's angst that needs to be released and let go of because it's not what we need to have right now. We take another breath and breathe in all that is possible around us. All that is possible around us when we start by believing in ourselves. As Eddie Watkins Jr. said, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. You are that eminent being, that godlike being. And the relationship that you have with yourself, your mind, body, temple, and spirit is a sacred, sacred, sacred relationship. And that sacredness bubbles up and ripples out into the world with absolutely every single person you interact with. So that you in fact are making a joyful noise. As you breathe in and you breathe in that goodness and exhale anything that is not of the highest radiant vibration that you are. Feel the lightness within yourself, just being mindful of what it is like to think those thoughts. Knowing that as we do this, we give thanks for our willingness to do things that feel a little silly or awkward. We give thanks for having a different experience with ourselves, knowing it's the most important relationship we could ever have. Because it is that relationship with spirit as well. And as we go out into the world on this holiday weekend, we do it safely, we do it mindfully, respectfully. And knowing that as we give that out, and it is that ripple into our community and beyond and beyond and beyond, we are the loving kindness. We are the peace that we are wanting to attract. We are all of that and so much more. So I let go, knowing as I have spoken these words and released them to the action of law, it's already done. It is already done because I am willing. You are willing. So we let it go. And remember, God's got this. God's got this. I release and let go knowing that God's got this. God's got a plan greater than my plan all the time. And if any of this resonates, please anchor it with me by saying, and so it is. Shine your light. Yes. So now is our sacred time of joyful giving. And I say joyful giving because we know that we can never outgive God, source energy, spirit. And so giving is a way of just demonstrating our feelings about that. And for those that have their own routine of giving, whether it's a check or coin or going to the website and using a credit card, all forms of giving allow us not only to keep this immediate community going, but to give out into the community. And so it's a sacred way of just demonstrating all the good that we can possibly have. And you can give, there's the text information right up there. And if you'll repeat with me the joyful giving affirmation. From God I receive, to God I give. Together we share the blessings we live. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. And so it is.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I am. I am so blessed. I am I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
Good morning. Knowing that happiness is the spiritual experience of living every minute with love, grace, and gratitude. This was my reading for this morning, and I thought I'd like to share it with you. I'm Betty Ann, and knowing that this week we have the announcements for this week. On Thursday, July 14th, the Science of Mind discussion. Oh.
It'll be back in August.
Okay.
So it's not dark this month.
Okay. Knowing usually, this is called adjustment, cancel. All right. Next month, Science of Mind discussion group will be meeting at Corliss's home promptly at 9:50, and the meeting starts at 10 o'clock. And it is a potluck offering and is appreciated. It is based on the prior Science of Mind magazine. Did that work? Okay.
August 11th.
So that will be August the 11th. Okay. But Corliss will send you what articles you should be addressing yourself with so that you can have and be prepared to just have that discussion with her. Our meditation circle will be on Monday, July 18th at 10 a.m. in the Zoom room. And as Reverend Davine called it, the Love Shack. I like that. And the practitioners are there for an hour. You can pop in and out and join in. It is an opportunity for calming and centering with meditation. On Tuesday, July 19th, the Center and the Love Shack with Adrian will have their next installment of the Earnest Studies. It's a transformative journey through the writings of Ernest Holmes' daily spiritual practices that each participant will take out into the world and bring about a world that works for everyone. But as we heard this morning, it has to start with self first. If you're interested in joining this group, please give him a shout out or an email. Okay, so there's another announcement that I am not going to make because our person from our events team will be making that announcement. But these will be the announcements that I have for today.
There's actually another announcement that I didn't even tell you about. Tomorrow is July 4th. I don't know if anybody noticed.
Yeah.
They removed the trees that were blocking us from seeing the fireworks from the front steps of our beautiful sanctuary. I will be putting up police tape across the parking lot so nobody steals our parking spots. The doors will be open, the water will be flowing, we'll have bathrooms, we'll have our own chairs, we'll be super comfortable, and you can watch the fireworks like right across the street. It's awesome. So, anybody who wants to come and see the fireworks like the best front row seat like ever, this is where it's at. So, there you are. I think I'll be popping in around 5:30 or so.
They start dusk.
Yeah, it starts at dusk. Dusk is pretty late. This I think it's 6:30, 7 o'clock. They actually start popping off. But I'll be here about 5:30.
Yeah, I did that a few years ago, and it was really great to not have to be that close to the fireworks, but to see every single thing was great. Okay, see the sign? Took Bob and me 3 hours last night to do this. It's going to be hanging in Carter Hall for the rest of the month. The last week of this month is our yard sale. And there are things that everybody can do to get involved, and there's sign-up places for you to sign up to do what you can do, when you can do it. And I'm hoping you can all sign up and you can all help. And if you can't help do it, come and shop. Okay, because it doesn't make any sense to have all the stuff if we can't sell it. There are two things that I forgot to, or I didn't forget, I guess I just thought of it coming over here that I didn't list. Is one, we are going to have on Monday, July 24th, people at Chuck Braswell's garage, which we've been loading everything into for the last 2 years. And then we're going to have people at the center, and then we're going to have a bunch of us with our cars and our trucks running back and forth, unloading Chuck's garage and bringing it here. In addition to that, if you've been collecting at home and it's too much for you to carry and you want us to pick it up, why we've got strong bodies to pick it up in the vehicles to do that, let me know, okay, and I'll make a schedule for pickup. The other thing I really need help with is going to be Saturday, the last day of the yard sale, which is July 30th. We're going to close down at 12, and our cleaning crew is coming in here at 1. So from 12 to 1, I need a whole lot of people to unload this building, and I need people or organizations that want whatever we don't sell so that we can donate it to somebody who can use it, okay, if we don't sell it. So if you have any connections whatsoever with people who either will come and pick it up and sell it at their own yard sale, or organizations, normally we give to Help and we do Desiree Industries. They're both closed on Saturday. So think about that. I'll be gone for a week, but in 2 weeks I'll be back and I will be bugging everyone about this, okay? So sign up, and when I come back in 2 weeks, I want to see it all filled up. It would make me very happy. Thank you.
Things got a little out of order. It is time, that time of the day, when we get to hear from one of our absolutely fabulous members here at the Center for Spiritual Living, to hear the Ernest Holmes quote and how it pertains to the question listed upon the quote.
All right. So my quote is, "A practitioner must be filled with the spirit of divine compassion," which comes from Science of Mind, page 238. And the question is, what does divine compassion mean to you in your life? And I, of course, think that that includes practitioners with a big P and a little p. Compassion means, for me, recognizing oneness, because when you and I are one, then I cannot truly be free if you are not free. So that means whatever you're going through, that I'm going through too, because we are one, and so being together in that oneness. It also means to me that, it reminds me of the story of the guy who fell in the hole. See, I'm going to start my preaching here. I'm not used to being up here. The guy who fell in the hole, and the minister comes by and writes down a prayer and throws it in the hole, and the pharmacist comes by and writes out a prescription and throws it down the hole, and the lawyer comes by the hole and writes out a lawsuit and throws it down the hole. And then the friend comes by and he jumps into the hole, and the guy says, "Well, what'd you do that for? Now we're both in the hole." And he goes, "Yeah, but I've been down here and I know the way out." So for me, that means that's compassion. That's walking with somebody and not just, throwing stuff down the hole and saying, "Here, I helped you." It's getting in the hole with them and helping them out. Thank you.
All right, so, do we have something else up front?
I always forget one thing. I'm sorry. This is for the people online who are not here in person. Our maestro here, our media specialist, Neil, prepared an online volunteer form. Everybody was going to get an email. It says service opportunities, and it's a way for you, if you're not here, to sign on a wonderful board to volunteer online and just check all the little boxes of what you can do, and I'll get back to you. Okay, thanks. Oh, and, of course, I'm sorry, and today is Welcome Reverend Davine luncheon, our welcome luncheon, and there's a very nice spread in Carter Hall for all of us after our services. Please join us.
Yay! Okay, so it's that time in the service when the service itself must come to an end. And then we all stand up together and we sing a fabulous song together because that's just how we roll. But I would like to make a joke too. What kind of dancing was popular in 1776? The Independence. All right. So let's everybody go stand up. We're going to sing a oldie but goodie. I love myself so much. Just to remind us each that that is the whole point.